Okay, we're going to jump right into it. This is the unboxing of our 3/4 inch fast pipe system from RapidAir. Apparently everything comes in these tubes, and let's open it up and see what we got. So let's take a closer look at what actually comes in this kit. We have some instructions, a layout, a couple of pages of tips, and then this deburring tool. Not a huge fan of this tool, but it gets the job done. It's for deburring the inside and outside of your pipe after you cut it. And we got some clips, all the different unions, T's, 90s, a couple of spanner wrenches, the drops. Overall, I thought the quality of this stuff was really good. Okay, now let's unpackage everything. This is going to help later on when we're looking for parts and we're right in the middle of the installation. We don't have to stop and search and open things up. Everything's going to be nice and laid out and ready to go. These drops look really good. I'm impressed with the quality so far. Everything's laid out and we're ready to get started. Okay, here's a quick look at the fast pipe. Again, there's lots of options you can choose. We thought about Maxline, which is the flexible pipe. It comes in a coiled roll. I didn't want to have to build a jig or worry about straightening it, so we went with this one. Okay, so this is everything that comes in the kit that I ordered from Amazon, but let me now show you the stuff outside of the kit that I also ordered, and we'll take a look at that now. So this I already had laying around, just the Teflon tape. And then RapidAir recommends Teflon tape and this pipe sealant. This is the same stuff they sell on their website. And then I went ahead and got a air regulator as well. Everything in this box I got from Amazon. Free shipping, quick order, so that works out. I don't think air regulator with filter is absolutely required, but it is recommended. I didn't have one running in the last shop. Most of my machinery actually comes with a filter regulator combo on the back of the machines. I'm sure this one has it. And if we look over here, you can see right there that has a filter regulator combo unit. So it's not 100% necessary if you already have some of that, but I'm gonna put this right on the back of the compressor, so I'll be able to just control the flow to the entire shop and the fast pipe system when we're all done. Next thing I'm excited about is these guys, the push to connect safety couplers. Then the last thing in here is the pipe cutter. So I just got a little rigid, close quarters pipe cutter that does up to 1 inch. And I also picked up something from McMaster-Carr, if you're familiar with them. This is going to be the 3/4 inch jumper cable that I'm going to go from the compressor to the wall. So I got a 4-foot hose. You get to pick your ends, pick your color, and pick the size, and they had this ready for me the next day, delivered to my door, which was really cool. So that's the jumper. And then this is just a standard hose. I may, if I like this hose, I may end up doing this for every machine in the shop. But this is just a matching hose, so everything's gonna be blue. As you can see, we've got a theme going. And then you pick the connections on this one as well. So I have a quick connect there, and the industrial end is right there as well. So, pretty neat, and not terribly expensive. Okay, here's the 1/2 inch regulator. Step 1, we're gonna put this regulator onto the back of the compressor. That's gonna be the beginning stages of our installation. And we're gonna go ahead and put the sealant tape, the thread compound, and the nipple, and put this all together. Now we're gonna quickly see the first problem I run into with this install, and that is not quite enough room for me to close the on-off valve. So, take everything apart, go to Home Depot, get a longer nipple, come back, reassemble everything, and then we should have enough clearance to make sure that on-off valve can be properly opened and closed. I did get pretty good at taking these on and off and applying that tape and compound. Here's the final look. Everything looks great and plenty of room to open and close this valve. Okay, here we are, about ready to start the install of our new fast pipe system. And of course, I had to make one more trip to Home Depot because we love trips to Home Depot. And here's what we got. So we just picked up these Teflon concrete anchors, backer right here inside the clips along with our screw. So we've taken a screw here, we've inserted one of those 5/16 hex nuts, you can see right there. And now that just kind of holds that in place. And so these were 12 cents at Home Depot, 12 cents a piece. Picked up a handful of those. And got screws for all the clips, like we see here. And then I got these slightly different style drops, air drops. So we just had a little bit more of a flat backer to go up against that. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to install the plugs on each side of the drop and the drain valve for the bottom of the drop. We're going to leave the ports for our coupler open because that could interfere with us trying to screw these in later, and we'll add these later once we're on the wall. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get these other items installed, and we're going to use some tape and some thread sealant compound. We'll start with one of these plugs. It's kind of nice they provide these side plugs here because that could allow you to add stuff later that's threaded. So again, this is compatible with other systems. You could add typical standard pipe later if you had to add a drop. You can obviously always buy more fittings and more fast pipe, but it's just nice how they leave that compatibility there, allow you to do other stuff later. So we're going to take some of this tape. This is a 3/8 T-handle Allen, so that'll help you if you have the right tool. We're going to go ahead and get started with this. And the key for me on this was I didn't go too tight. I just got them flush with the body and then cleaned up the mess. Good decent coverage. Okay, next we're going to install the drain valve that comes with each drop. And you'll quickly see in the video here that I had my second dilemma. No problem. Just had to take the air drop out and rotate it 90 degrees in the vise, re-grip, and then I had plenty of clearance to go ahead and tighten up that system. If you don't already have a vise like this in your shop, totally recommend one. I got this one at Harbor Freight. You can get them for as cheap as 40 or 50 bucks. And when I'm done, I want to make sure that the valve is facing out so I have access to it and everything mounts properly. I'm going to straighten that out, make sure everything works, and this one is done. Now these other two, once I got the hang of it, as you can see, I was able to go much quicker and get these done in a fraction of the time. So we're using this little rigid pipe cutter. We've made a little mark here to measure where we want to cut. Center these two rollers right along the mark where I want to cut. I get it tight, and then I rotate this around. 2 full turns, it says. And then we go another 1/4 inch to 1/2 turn. The key is we're not crushing it. We're going around a couple of times and repeat. There we go. So once that's cut, then we deburr it inside and outside. This one is the one that's going to connect to our jumper. It's a 2-inch measure from here to the proper insertion point. And that's key because at first it did not want to go 2 inches for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mark at the 2-inch right there. Then put a little soapy water on there. And we're going to, there we go. Now that went to the proper spot. Before it was stopped at about halfway. Okay, here I am drilling the very first hole of the installation. I'll be perfectly honest, I've never drilled into concrete before. So I'm learning as I go. I put a piece of tape at the end to give me a guide for my depth. And you want to be a 1/4 inch past the length of your anchors according to the instructions. And and then I'm just taking my time. Your drill has to have a hammer setting or be a hammer drill. Without that, you're going to have a tough time getting through concrete. Now it's time for our first clip. Simply screw it in. Make sure your hole's deep enough when you drilled, otherwise you're going to snap that screw like I did on my first try. But eventually got it worked out and got the first clip up and secured. So you can see the wrench locations here where the hook is on the left and the other piece is on the right. I don't know how to better describe that, but you can see from that quick shot there of the wrenches. We're just tightening everything up and getting ready to put it on the wall.
If need be. That. Tighten that up. Nice and tight. So here it is. First section is in.
Okay, where are we drilling these holes? That's key. My first thought was to measure from the floor to the center of the pipe and get all my locations, but in the end that wasn't quite accurate enough for me. I ended up using a level and putting the pipe up and attaching it to the previous piece and then finding my spot that way. Now while there are some other options like the strut style clamps, those do give you more adjustability, and especially when you're making sure this stuff is perfectly level, that might help. I went for a minimalistic look. I wanted the least amount of holes and hardware on the wall as possible, and these clips actually worked out well for me, but that is one other option you may want to keep in mind.
Very nice.
Now we've got our first section complete. I did try to remember to tighten everything as we went along.
Now we just need to measure the distance from here to here, where we want our last drop on the right.
Keep in mind that 2 inches, you'll see me measuring that in here. You're going to lose 2 inches on both ends of your pipe with the insertion into the fittings.
We're going to take our 30.75 inch piece. Actually, do this one first. Remember, we mark it at 2 inches so we know exactly that we've come in the right amount. That's important. Let's do this in a little bit. There we go.
Now again, as you can see, I'm using my level, and then once I get the pipe where I want it, then I'm going to mark my holes with a pin.
Now, time to use these guys.
Now with the correct screws in hand and my holes pre-drilled, I am ready to mount the first drop on my Fastpipe Rapidair system. Very secure. Those 4 bolts went in really nice.
Turned out really nice. All the mounting points nice and flush. This thing is totally secured to the concrete. Next, we measured the distance from the center of the pipe to the wall, so we could put 2 marks, one here and one down there. Then we drilled and screwed in the clips. So now I should be able to take a full-length piece and attach it here, using these to hold it in place and put on the ends and tighten them. I'm using this Milwaukee 4-amp 18-volt lithium-ion, but the key is it has to be set to this hammer position. Without that, we can't drill. It will not go in with the other two options. So if you're gonna find a drill, make sure it has that option. Put our number 2 Phillips back, change this to screw, and we're ready to screw in our clamp. So again, that clip is right here. Always want to go tab up. I'm going to take our screw and our 5/16 hex nut and drop it in.
No need to bore you with all the details of the entire install, but basically we continue this method and work our way around the shop. Okay, so the long and short of it is, this is when I began having a major issue with some rebar or other reinforcements inside this concrete. I got metal shavings on the drill, and there was a handful of holes that just would never drill for me. So you have to get a little creative, you have to be able to adjust, move things around a little bit, and in the end I was able to get everything drilled. Wasn't always my first option and location, but I did make it happen, and I was able to cover up the 5 or 6 unnecessary holes that I had left on the wall when we were done. So this was the only major frustrating part of the install, was running into these tough spots on the wall, but eventually got through them and we're able to get the thing installed correctly. Okay, so after some time wasted, we finally got something working. I'm not a concrete expert, but something was in the wall. None of the holes were going through. When I finally did get a hole, it wouldn't hold a screw. So basically, I'll show you what I did over here. So nothing some touch-up paint won't fix, but a whole bunch of holes that would not work for me. I finally was about to go buy a new bit, but I thought I'll move over and down, and those 4 holes for the airdrop did go in smoothly. They hold really strong. It's not pulling out anymore. And I'll just have to cover up those holes and deal with this new location and use this as my anchor point. And we'll go from there. One other tip, make sure you pre-plan your routes and make sure you see any obstructions that might be in the way. Thankfully, I planned ahead and was able to avoid these pipes on the wall. It's turned out 8 3/8. Nobody's perfect, and I certainly wasn't. I did have to trim a couple of times where I didn't quite measure perfectly, but that's okay. That's the beauty of this system, is it's very easy to work with and very easy to make adjustments. Let's see, 2 inches is going to be right here. Let's make sure it drops down that much. Perfect. Once you've done it a few times, you kind of get the hang of it and kind of can tell when it drops to that second point and it's seated right up against the lip inside the unit there. Struggling. That's pretty good. That might be as close as we're gonna get. Oh, perfect. Things level. Who would have thought? Great. So this part's done. We're ready to go on to our last run. Next, I just cut this to length based on where I want my drop to end, which is right before our material wrap. And I'm gonna use the level and mark where I'm gonna put the 2 holes for these clamps. And I spaced the clamps 7 inches apart to match what I did over here. Center of that pin. Okay, we're going to finish up right here and then tighten the whole system up.
Got the valve turned off, so you don't have to worry about any air coming out. Shouldn't be much in here. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, now we're going to take this fitting, we're going to put this in the outside of the regulator.
Okay, we got some pipe dope and tape on our new hose. Go ahead and plug that in. Okay, again, I'm not going to force it. I think that's a perfect tension. If we have any issues, we'll address them later. But here you're going to find out why it's so important to have this swivel. Because now we're going to hook it onto the bottom of our adapter and thread that on, and we're not going to have the ability to twist the hose around anymore. So a little bit of tape and pipe dope right here on these threads, and we're ready to make this connection. Top one here.
Okay, so one thing I almost forgot before testing the pressure is you've got to install all your couplers. Otherwise, these are half-inch holes at the end of every drop. We're going to watch this live together. We're going to go ahead and turn on the system and test for leaks. The instructions say to start with 50 psi, so I'm going to see if I can't control that. Okay, we're right at 50. Don't hear any leaks yet. Now in some of the reviews, that's one thing I've seen people knock this system for, is finding leaks in various spots. There's a couple different systems. There's the Max line that uses the semi-flexible tubing. I just didn't want the pain of trying to straighten that, and I wanted a nice straight look. You noticed how much time I spent setting that level to make sure everything was straight. I didn't want to have to create a jig just to try to straighten the flexible pipe that comes in a big roll. So I ordered the Fastpipe. The smallest Fastpipe you can get is 3/4. That's what we have. And I got the kit, the 3/4 inch kit. I'll put a link in the description below, because I tried pricing it out individually and it was almost twice as much. So the kit actually saves you a lot of money instead of trying to buy this individually. I thought it would be cheaper because I only need about 60 feet. It's kind of a smaller install. And the kit comes with 90. So the good news is I've got about 30 feet left over, but I'm not hearing any leaks anywhere. That's great. Nothing down here at the end. Everything looks really solid. Come back over here and check near the compressor. If I was to have one, I think that would be where it would be, because we've got so many connections all in one spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all these. The only thing I'm hearing is that dryer running. Not hearing any leaks. So we're going to go ahead and bring the system up
Take it to 120. Okay, we're locked in at 120. And again, no leaks. So this is great. We'll go ahead and plug in our hose from McMaster-Carr. Just take this in here and plug it in. One-handed operation. Now this is live. I could put something on the end of this now. And then the neat thing about this is when you get ready to take them off, you usually blow your eardrums out. This thing shoots out, air shoots everywhere. It's a big mess, but on this new system, now I hit it once, that releases the air, and then once again, and it comes right out. So that's killer. I really like that. So that's gonna work nice. We have air. Okay, we've been powered up to 120. I've plugged a couple of items in. Still no leaks from our Fastpipe system. And all these fittings go in so nice. It's working really, really good. Overall impressions, very happy with this. Great value. So again, this has been the 3/4 inch Fastpipe install and review. Thanks for watching.